Ever wondered what's hiding in the history of a specific property, a person, or maybe even a past legal case? Well, let's dive right into exactly how you can instantly uncover all that hidden history right here in DuPage County and do it entirely for free. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to break down everything you need to know to navigate the local court systems like an absolute pro.
Now, you might be asking yourself, why do I even need to access these records in the first place? Well, whether you're checking out the background of a new property you're thinking of buying, tracing your family tree, or just trying to manage your own personal legal matters, having access to these public records is a game changer. It can save you time, money, and frankly, some major headaches down the line. We are talking about true empowerment through information here. I'd highly recommend grabbing a pen to take a few notes because we're about to give you a highly actionable toolkit.
Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with why you should access these records, clear up the difference between public and restricted files, walk through a step-by-step online search, look at some real-world scenarios, show you how to overcome common roadblocks, and finally, wrap up with some crucial privacy rules. Let's get right into it.
First up, let's talk about unlocking DuPage County's data. We need to establish why these records even exist in this format to begin with, and more importantly, where exactly you need to look to find the specific info you're after. So, to put things into perspective, DuPage is the second most populous county in Illinois. We're talking nearly 940,000 residents. Because of that, the court system processes a massive volume of highly useful records every single year. And fortunately for us, DuPage is one of only 4 counties in the entire state of Illinois approved for an enhanced digital records program called eRecord. That makes it one of the most accessible, remote-friendly counties for research out there.
But here's the catch. You have to know which office to target depending on your specific scenario. Otherwise, you're just going to spin your wheels. For instance, you don't want to waste time searching for a property deed in a criminal docket. It's actually pretty simple once you know the breakdown. If you want court dockets or warrant information, you go to the circuit court clerk. Looking for property deeds, you visit the county recorder. But if you need a certified birth, death, or marriage certificate, you have to contact the county clerk. Knowing this distinction right off the bat is literally half the battle. All right, moving on to knowing what you can actually find. Before we start clicking around online, we really need to understand the crucial difference between what is actually public knowledge and what is permanently restricted by law. There is a very strict dividing line here. Things like civil lawsuits, traffic tickets, family cases, and criminal cases where charges were actually filed, those are generally an open book for anyone to see. But you will absolutely hit a brick wall if you go looking for sensitive items. Juvenile cases, adoptions, mental health filings, and sealed or expunged files are strictly off limits to the public, period. And even on the public files, sensitive data like social security numbers are going to be fully redacted. So now that we know what we can look for, let's jump into the mechanics of finding these cases. We're going to run a search like a pro. Thanks to some incredibly specific instructions mapped out by Russo law offices, you can bypass the confusion entirely. Step 1, you just go directly to epay18thjudicial.org. Step 2, click the box right there that says Search for your case. Step 3, you can either enter a case number if you already have it, or just scroll down to search by name, entering the full last name, first name, and date of birth. Finally, Step 4, hit Search and click on the case number. That's going to pull up case statuses, next court dates, and docket entries directly. It really is just that straightforward. Okay, theory is great, but let's put this search to work. How do we actually apply this to build actionable intelligence that you can use today? Well, this online portal is incredibly versatile. Say you need to track down a summary of a divorce decree or verify a marriage license. You can do that. You can find a recent case decision to see if someone actually won their lawsuit. Think about this. If you're hiring someone to work on your house, you can look up a contractor's civil history to see if they've been sued for doing bad work. You can even run a personal background check for active warrants right through the circuit clerk's database. This is super handy since the sheriff's office doesn't actually host an online warrant database themselves. Let me give you a really specific example. In a probate scenario, Illinois Statute 755 ILCS 5/6-1 literally demands that a will must be filed immediately upon the death of the testator, the person who wrote the will. Now, because that becomes a public court record the moment it's filed, you can actually look up that case filing status online to figure out if an estate has been formally opened. If you're trying to untangle property ownership after a relative passes away, this is just incredibly useful information. But let's face it, technology doesn't always cooperate. So what do you do when you hit a wall? Like, what happens when you type in a name and get absolutely zero results? Or maybe you need the actual text of a really old document.
Well, first, here is a very surprising and important fact you've got to keep in mind. You actually cannot just send a standard FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, to the court. Believe it or not, the judicial branch in Illinois is completely exempt from standard FOIA requests. That's because it's governed by entirely separate public access rules set by the Supreme Court. The clerk handles requests under those court rules, not FOIA.
So knowing that, the crucial point here is to watch out for a few common roadblocks. First up, simple typos. If a clerk spelled a name even slightly differently when it was originally entered, you might get 0 results. So always try alternate spellings. Second, remember that uncharged arrests are completely invisible here. If someone was arrested but the state's attorney never filed formal charges, you will not see it in the court docket. And finally, you just have to accept that some older files haven't been digitized into the e-record system yet. For those, you simply have to make an in-person visit to the courthouse at 505 North County Farm Road in Wheaton. And speaking of that, when you do have to go offline to request official or certified printed copies at the clerk's office, just keep the standard statutory copy fees in mind so you arrive prepared. It's $2 for the very first page, 50 cents for pages 2 through 20, and if you need the document officially stamped and certified, which, by the way, is often required for things like proving a divorce for a name change, there is an extra $6 document certification fee per seal.
All right, let's bring it all home with a quick recap and some really vital ground rules on how to handle this powerful information. Please take away from this explainer that while the e-record system is a phenomenal tool for public transparency, it comes with serious responsibility. You must respect privacy laws, crucially, and a lot of private lookup sites will warn you about this too. You absolutely cannot use this basic public info for FCRA-regulated decisions. That means you can't use it for things like making official consumer credit decisions, tenant screening, or formal hiring decisions. Those require strict compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Always verify any critical legal information you find directly with an attorney or the clerk.
The digital doors to the 18th Judicial Circuit are wide open for you. You now have the roadmap, the website, and the troubleshooting tips to uncover an absolute wealth of public history. So jump online, use these tools, and see what fascinating details you can discover today. I'll leave you with this. Now that you know how it all works, whose records will you search for first? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy researching.